Great.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Planning and Highways Committee meeting of Attenborough Town Council. Held tonight, Monday the 15th of July at 6 p.m. First, item 2 on the agenda. Any apologies for absence?
Yeah, we've got Councillor Reynolds and Councillor Tyrell.
Okay, thank you. Item 3, any declarations of interest? Or get used to this new technology?
Only really a personal interest. It's hard to say, but what I'll be doing is I'll abstain as per usual to the planning matters, and if any vote is taken on the car parking charges, I'll abstain from that vote as well.
Yes.
Okay, thanks. Moving on, item 4, first public participation. Any takers? No? Okay, thank you. Moving on. Item 5, minutes of the Planning and Highways Committee meeting of the 1st of July 2024 for acceptance and approval. Can we get comments? Seconded?
Yeah.
Right, okay. All those in favour?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Okay, unanimously.
Good.
Item 6, planning matters. So starting with planning applications not due yet. Reference 3PL 2024-0480 HOU. Great Walcott Cottage, sorry, West Bar Road, Ellingham and Attenborough. Convert a garage into utility room with a toilet. I've got no comment about that. Not agreeable. Fine. Okay, nobody else? No?
No.
Okay, thank you. Item reference 3DC 2024-0128 DOC. Tracking Auto Services Norwich Road, discharge conditions number 29 on 3PL 2019-1153 VAR. Anybody have any comments on that? No. Okay. Moving on, item 3PL 2024-0534, sorry, HOU. Meadowwood Farmhouse, Morley Road, Attenborough. Proposed construction of single-storey two-bed dwelling for ancillary use for occupiers of the main dwelling. Any comments? Councillor Brown? Councillor Taylor? Yes.
No.
No. Again, seems reasonable. Okay, just no comments. Huh?
No.
Yeah, okay. No comments again. All fair comment.
Yeah. Okay. Yep.
Reference B, consultation, Brecon Ward boundary review. Anybody got any comments about that? Really, yeah, exactly.
Okay. I'm sure because today is the deadline. So
Right.
I would have had to get them in when I get home.
Speak now or forever hold your peace.
Okay.
Okay, no comments on that. Right, item 7, moving on, highway matters. Speed limit concerns on Norwich Road. Well, I would agree wholeheartedly, but I'm biased, so.
Yeah.
Take comment on that, probably about
It is horrendous.
and anything.
Yeah, whatever happens in the 40 limits, even worse in the 30 limits. So, I think the only thing we can do, though, with highway matters, make representations to NCC.
Sorry. So please.
And the police as well, of course, yeah. They do checks down there occasionally, but
I will say
not often, not as often as they used to.
so while I was out campaigning with George, I was door knocking on Mill Road, obviously just round the corner in Norwich Road. And there was a number of residents there, especially towards the corner that meets Besthorpe Road,
Yeah,
that were complaining of high-speed vehicles, like very excessive
yeah,
speeds,
yeah,
and drifting around the corner as well, where
Yeah.
that's quite a wide
yeah.
corner. They weren't actually slowing down to give way or to
Yeah.
see if anything was coming.
Yeah,
I have since spoke to, I can't remember what the officer's name was that attended the Coffee with a Cop, the most recent session, and I did also bump into PCD on Phillips while he was patrolling, because he's got like a much stronger presence in Attleborough in the town centre
Yeah.
recently. And he did say that actually his gun was out of action, but he would see if he could get a replacement. But they could also put the cabling across the road to measure
Yeah.
speeds as
Yeah.
well. And that will also show a percentage of how many cars coming over are driving at excessive
Yeah,
speed. So
yeah.
we might be able to say, while you're doing the Mill Lane area, and you also put some measures in
Yeah.
place on, he was really accommodating.
yeah,
He
yeah,
was
yeah,
very-
yeah. I think we seem to be doing something because it is an issue. I think that's personally.
And you know, yeah, development.
Yeah, yeah, so
Yeah.
police and
But
Okay.
NCC.
Got that,
The
yeah.
NCC might need evidence to action it,
Yeah,
so if we can speak to the police
Police
as well and
first,
get that.
yeah.
evidence.
yeah,
Thousands being built up.
he seemed really eager to
Yeah,
be addressing these kinds of issues.
Yeah,
So
okay. It's not so much the problem during the day, it's more first thing in the morning and later at night,
When you go to work and you're coming home.
or when it's quieter as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Some real hooligans about.
yeah. Excellent, I will do
Right,
that, and I'll write
okay,
back to
thank
the
you.
resident as well.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you could please, yeah. Reference 7B, opportunity applying for parish partnerships funding. It's a bit tongue twister.
Yeah, I have put that onto the agenda because this is just the first time it'd be on the agenda, so it's time enough to now give some thought as to what we might want to apply for.
Do we have to apply
You
for
don't
certain,
have to, but yeah,
it'd be better if we applied for certain clause, wouldn't it?
yeah, so we just need
purpose.
to give some thought, because I think there's plenty of opportunities
Yeah.
going by what you can apply for. I don't think you can apply for adjustments to the yellow lines or any traffic of, TROs or anything. But, any sort of measured paths, if you want to put paths through.
Yeah.
Trods on the highway, etc. So,
Okay.
Sort
Well,
of
if there's money
thing.
available, we need to be going for it.
that there is leading up from Attleborough, Great Ellingham. I don't think there's any paths there. And if we're thinking of cemetery land or whatever,
Yeah.
that's worth thinking about that.
Definitely,
But
definitely.
connectivity anyway.
Mm.
Yeah. But anyway, I'll keep that as a standing item.
Yeah,
And then
please,
obviously we can, if you can think of anything, and
Yeah,
maybe we'll
yeah.
make a decision. Deadline is December. So
Right.
if I
Okay.
can sort of have information by late October, I can easily get the application sorted.
Sharon, something that I know has been addressed, I know you're now working with Megan, was obviously bus stops.
Yeah,
I know previously Norfolk County Council had gave us £18,000
Yeah.
for bus stops on Norwich Road.
yeah,
I don't know if we could then apply
Yeah.
for match funding,
yeah,
so that actually we can double that and have twice the provision of bus stops. Something that has been repeatedly brought forward is bus stops in the region of Hartham Road, New Road, and London Road.
yeah.
So if that's something that could be used, I don't know if it would, because the money come from an alternative source originally, or if it's now in our account, if we use it, but.
You can also apply up to the value of 50,000, and we'd have to pledge half of it. So if we pledge 25,000, then we'd be able to achieve that and add that to the 18,000.
Especially if they're not cheap, are they? Stops.
So they're 5 to 7,000. Okay. Do we want to speak into our microphones or can I was just thinking, why we've got them to try and we might as well give it a go.
I think it'd be easier if they were just sat on the table.
Yes,
We didn't have
yes,
that
yes.
gap.
You can get one.
Yes, the one. If the ones that go in front of.
Yeah. I did say, could we have some more? If we have this sort, then, but if you have the orange lady ones, that's possible. I'm not sure if they're as effective as well as speak through them.
We, Anybody got any objections to interspersing on the floor?
Oh, yeah, I'm not part of your committee. I think I'm allowed to talk, but I'm not allowed to vote. But anyway, I was just wondering, Sharon, you say we can apply for 25, for 50,000 if we put in 25. Could we use the 18 we've already been given as part of that 25? So we'd only be pledging
Yeah.
like
So,
Yes.
7?
Yes, we could.
Just obviously to then, if we're putting in 7, but we're benefiting from 25.
That's possible.
It,
7 becomes 50. Yeah.
yeah, because the 18 we've already been.
Yeah, very true.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no reason why you could, so long as the money is there to be spent, they don't really care where it comes from.
Okay, any other comments on item 7B? No? Moving on, item 8, neighbourhood plan update, for consideration and resolution if necessary.
Yeah, now, we have a meeting scheduled for the 30th of July, with the steering group. So I haven't got anything to report until we've had that meeting. So,
Okay. Yeah.
yeah, that's all I've got to say on that one.
Okay, moving on, item 9, cemetery land for consideration.
Yeah, that one, we had a meeting and I think I've got some notes here. We had the meeting and I think the end of the meeting, we asked for a programme of works from the company so that we've got a timetable. I've only just shared that today. But they had questions for the cemetery land councillors that were there about, you know, just to make sure that they're along the right lines around how many burials we normally have per year, questions about the land type, etc. So we've given them that information. They are now going to go away and do a desktop study so that they can then do the initial sort of assessment of the area, and then they will come back. But if you've got the programme of works, that details the sort of it goes along the lines of how the quote was laid out. It will be along similar lines. They've just given us the timelines of what's expected. So we'll take their lead on that one, and any information that they need from us, we'll just continue to supply with them. But we haven't got a date for the next meeting yet. We are going to wait until they send us the initial information from their desktop. And they have been furnished with the piece of land that somebody wrote to us about. So we're also going to assess that as well at the same time. Yeah.
Thank you. Item 10, car parking, applicable car parking strategy, scope of the board.
I think Councillor Tyler was going to do that. He did ask for the information for this meeting. He's followed us tonight. But I have got some little handouts for you, because pending that we get the strategy and looking at where we can sort of source the information, there has been quite a lot of information that's come from Wetland, which assesses it. We just need somebody to really put that together for us. But if you look on the local government association, there is some information there about how to assess your town. There's just some useful snippets there to give you information about the sort of things where you are trying to have a strategy for full car parking in town. So that, I thought that was nice and generic.
Yeah.
And easy to follow. Strategy, but we've been trying to do the strategy for several months now, haven't we? We haven't really achieved very much at the moment, so I really have to try and get on. Yes, because obviously, and also I did share that with you. There is details about the car park. The assessment of what car parks and these are going to offer so we've got enough information there, I think, we also need to bear in mind that there is information already in our neighbourhood plan. So we really ought to follow what was laid out in the neighbourhood plan. according to the strategy. And I didn't know whether we could go so far as to, when we review the neighbourhood plan, could we not incorporate car parking in that and elaborate on it, rather than have its own, if it's going to work separately from the neighbourhood plan review. I think that might be counterproductive, but if we actually have it in mind to get the steering group and the consultants to actually look at that much more carefully, reading the Local Government Association handout, that information is crucial, and it would allow us to elaborate much more on our car parking strategy without having to do a separate car park strategy. I didn't know, I mean, that's obviously up to you. That's just a suggestion.
Quick question, do we make any allowances for potential car parks with, the roles? And our football club. So there's all that kind of stuff in there, isn't there? I know it's not 50 marked in, but do we need to make any allowances for that? Because that's not on this list, is it?
Oh, that's an oversight. I thought I had put that on there.
Unless I've missed it, we call it something different. I've got Connaught Park, Connaught Road, the library, stations on there. I don't know what you call that.
Recreation ground.
Is it big fun?
It says recreation ground.
I was going to say, yeah, definitely that one,
Yeah.
Yeah.
councillor.
that's it, yeah. That's all right.
I will say, so when the car parking strategies first come up in this forum, a suggestion that I made, and I've certainly made it previously, was that obviously Breckland Council last July, started undertaking surveys of their Breckland owned car parks in Attleborough as part of their own car parking survey and strategy. That's obviously led to the agenda item further on about car parking charges.
Yeah.
Now, at the time when Breckland officers started looking to undertake that review and do the surveying,
Yeah.
I did say then that actually I think it'd be beneficial if the town council done a similar survey of their own car parks,
Yeah.
and perhaps the town council could engage the district council to see if any other car parks that fall
Yeah.
through the cracks, like our supermarkets,
Yeah.
if with their permission, because of course we'd have to have their permission, if we could survey those and maybe split or share the cost.
Yeah.
I don't think that conversation with the district has really progressed, and I don't know if that's obviously because we've been waiting for a bit of a brief from Ed on what he thinks it should include. But at the time, while Breckland didn't make any commitment to me to part fund any additional surveys of privately owned car parks, they were very happy, and I think they gave me at the time the company that had details for the company that had undertaken their survey, and said that they would be very pleased to share their survey data with the town council and vice versa, obviously for the benefit of the town.
Yeah.
I know that parking is a problem in Attleborough, but I do think it needs to be looked at collectively. Obviously, we can only do what we can do with what we own, and there is a number on this list, a number of private car parks, but presumably, I know people, when there is displacement, they will park in Sainsbury's or Lidl's, run over to QB or My Hills or somewhere else nearby. It's not strictly for their customer, it's supposed to be their customers, but is used by others. But I think if we just, in the first instance, because some of these wouldn't be used by others necessarily, like the library, I don't know if that's really used by anyone other than people going to the library. I'm sure there's a small churn of others. But I think in the first instance, if we could just initiate that conversation with ourselves firstly, to see if we'd be willing to pay for the surveys on our own car parks.
Yeah.
And then also to compare that data with the district, with what they got, so that we know what the authority owned car parks, if you like,
Yeah.
the services that they're providing, because anything else is really out of our control.
Yeah.
So I feel like I'm not really sure what we're trying to achieve with that, because we can only do what we can do with what is within our power.
Yes, yeah,
And I just
Very
think
much so.
there's a lot of other car parks here, so I actually think even to split the cost of the survey on those. For some that I don't think are that relevant to the churn and the footfall in the town.
Yeah.
Would probably come with like a substantial price tag,
yeah.
even if it was split, because there was quite a few of them. So I don't know if like I'm saying, in the first instance, if maybe we can have a conversation with Megan or James Watkins, I think was one of the leads in the
Yeah.
initial surveys, and just say, you know, can we have the information that you gathered, and also then decide as a committee whether or not we want to take those surveys ourselves, because we might not want to fork out for it. Or as you say, Sharon, perhaps we could include it in part of the AMP review,
Yeah,
for the transport element of it.
because we're already paying consultants, so therefore we'd sort of like.
Yes.
you know, about a month's
Transport
worth.
is
Yeah.
one of the elements of
Yeah.
that review.
Yeah,
And I think this could fall, why, I don't understand why we're trying to look at it as a separate thing. If we're gonna look at it as a town-wide issue, then it should be incorporated.
Yeah.
But I also think that there's another conversation to be had about, you know,
yeah, I agree with you.
what we're actually trying to get out of this.
Yeah, because the information that when Brecon did the what Megan calls the encyclopedia, but it's the future Brecon document, and then it's the evidence-based document. There's very little in there on car parking. So when you read this local government association, then you read the intentions of, you know, what the benefits are if you do review your car parking strategy for your town. You'll then realise that actually exactly that, you need the data in order to make your decisions and see if you're lacking, there are any improvements to be made. But all of that could be achieved within the neighbourhood plan, because transport is part of that. But you could just elaborate on it a bit more.
And what we could do is either go to the consultant we've already appointed and ask them, how much would you charge the town council to undertake a survey on their land, this car park, this car
Yeah.
park, this car park?
Yeah.
Or alternatively, you could go to the company that Brecon would use, that they've used as their surveyor,
Yeah,
and say, how much would you charge for
Yeah.
the surveys? And you can then have two comparable prices.
I could easily get those prices anyway. couldn't
Yeah.
I?
And then
Do
we
that.
can decide as a committee whether or not that is actually something that we want to pursue and include in the neighbourhood plan review, knowing the associated costs.
Yeah.
My feeling is that, you know, it's very silly to undertake a review if you're not going to look at fundamental issues like transport.
Yeah.
But I wonder if that's a better approach rather than waiting for it
Yeah.
to write a scope or
And
something.
having it standalone, where does it fit?
I
Yeah,
think this
Got
is
it.
probably a
It
lot
needs
more
to, yeah.
proactive and inclusive.
Yeah, very good, yeah.
Okay.
Well, I'll go and get those prices and it's not.
Anything else on item 10? Moving on to contentious item 11, which is related. Proposal to introduce car parking charges in Brecon Market Town. Any thoughts?
I'm amazed it hasn't happened sooner. I mean, provided they do what other local towns have done, like you get your first hour
Yeah.
free and then you can top up what you want.
Yeah,
I don't
Sounds
think it's
awful.
outrageous,
Yeah.
you know,
as long as it's reasonable,
yes, as long as it's reasonable,
£1 an hour, or
yeah,
no more than that.
yeah.
I can just give you a little bit of the breakdown. So if anyone is really interested in this, I can circulate the link to you all. But there's a 153-page document on Brecon Council's websites and their scrutiny papers that all relate to the proposal for car parking. You know, why it's being considered, all of the, like, even down to like the enforcement routes, everything. It's really a comprehensive thing. And the suggestion for charging an hour, if I just find the right grid, is, I'll tell you, oh, it's definitely not as far down, it's way closer to the beginning than that. It is, I think it's 60, so the suggestion is to have the first hour free,
That's right.
and then after that, it would be, does it sit here? Attleborough. Queen Square, So that's the one that you'd have an hour free on, because it would be your main car park.
Yeah.
So Queen Square would have 1 hour free. The first charged hour would be 60 pence.
Mhm.
So really you're getting 2 hours of parking for 60 pence. Second hour £1, third hour 140, fourth hour 180, and up to 10 hours for £3. So it would,
Charge, it's not an additional £1 or £1, it's a total charge of £1.40.
yeah, so if you were to charge, if you were to pay for 3 hours parking, that would be £1.40.
Yeah.
Or 4 hours, 180, or up to 10 hours, £3, which is this all day price that Great Anglia have on the station.
Yeah.
On a Sunday, it's proposed that there will be a fixed fee for the entire day of £1, which I think is very reasonable. And the same prices are reflected at Edenside, so 60p a pound, 140, but with a maximum stay of 3 hours at Edenside to create the churn that they currently have on Queen Square. So for Queen Square, the short stay restrictions would be changed to make it long stay, and Edenside would become the short stay car park as the smaller, less in demand car park, but to generate a churn and make sure there is always spaces available. So that's the proposal, which, to be honest, I think is very
It's
reasonable.
extremely reasonable and it's, and it,
No, it's sensible as well.
yes, it is, and it's money that can actually go to resurface in the car park. That has to be done whether we pay for the usage or not. It's money out of different coffers, whereas it can replace.
Well, you'll know this well, Vera, from the time that you spent with the district. The car parks cost the district
Yes.
council, they have, I think, 30 car parks across the market towns.
Yes,
It costs them £450,000, so the best part of £500,000 every year
yeah,
in maintenance,
Mm.
whether that's to reline, resurface, CCTV, whatever. And for their upkeep and maintenance, that's a huge cost. Their business rates have to pay business rates on them as well. So it's really just to try and make it a fair way that money is then no longer coming from your council tax.
Mhm.
Like, do you know what I mean? Someone like me
Yeah.
who doesn't have a car, doesn't have a
there's a lot of
license.
people, yes.
Yeah.
It is then the responsibility of the person using the service and the facility to then pay for it. But like we say, with a very reasonable, low cost
Yeah. So
associated
they're
with
not
it.
involved,
Yeah.
it's not going to be punitive.
Because, and the fact is, a few people have said, oh, well, I'll go elsewhere to shop. It'll cost you more than 60p in fuel to get there.
Yes,
So
I agree.
you're better off parking here, on our local high
Yeah.
street. And like I say, the first hour would still, in the main car park, would still be free in this proposal. So
Yeah.
I think it's an extremely reasonable proposition that Bretton are putting up. And,
Yeah.
you know, I think it's
Well,
usable, manageable.
Yeah.
realistically, you can't go into Norwich sort of money
No,
park,
you
so
can't.
that's more than reasonable.
No.
Will you vote on that?
It costs you
Yeah,
£80
it might be worth doing a vote.
per day.
So it's
Something on the proposal?
Well, I propose that we, accept or compliment or whatever Bretton's on there. Support, yes, thank you. It's the end of the day. Bretton's on there.
proposals.
Councillor
Yeah.
Brooks, second. Vote?
I will abstain.
No,
Yeah.
Okay,
That's fair enough.
so majority, one abstention.
Yeah. Moving forward, we're running out of time. Item, most change, we'll normally rattle through. Item 12, second public participation, any takers?
If you talk about speed as well, you also then could talk about the traffic going across the railway line. Because they do quite a few times they go over that with excess speed,
Right,
and that then falls all the way down the old.
yeah.
And as we're going to have more housing down that way, we need to implement some form of slow down.
Yeah, okay. Yes,
I'm going to come in. Obviously, we're married to a emergency service personnel. Obviously, there was a very near miss on Bays Lane last week. Could we please, and I will be raising this in other forums with levels of local government, can we please write to Great Anglia and ask for some sort of either video surveillance of there, because there is none. So nobody knew what had actually happened to the person that was being nearly hit by a train because they couldn't find them. And there was no video footage of them.
Mm.
But also, if there is some way they can put an automatic locking mechanism on our gates, not hand or not electric. Because obviously our main barriers on Station Road, when the train hits something further down the line, it sets in motion those gates coming down and locking.
Yeah.
But the one on Lays Lane obviously didn't lock because there was somebody walking across the track when a train came. So
I'm not sure that's possible.
no, I think we
Yeah.
need to stick together and put in some sort
Yeah,
of
yes.
representation to Greater Anglia that it is unsafe, that we will be having more people cross at that point when the houses
Sure.
go in.
That's all we can do, but it's a sensible approach.
Okay, I can do that. can't I?
Anyone else, yes?
Just got a point on the car parks, Eden side, when it was mooted that they were gonna have parking charges there, restrictions there. Previously, a lot of people park there, that live on Eden side or live on some flats near Eden side. So if it's a short stay, that would restrict them parking there, would they be entitled to a parking permit or similar?
So I'll post on this on the Team Attleborough page as well, Leslie,
Yeah.
the document, so that any members of the public that want to flick through it can.
Yeah.
Just that it's a lot of reading, but it really has
But it's
so much
also, if
information.
they want to, I mean, it doesn't affect us.
But they are currently exploring residential permits as an option for the car parks and also business permits as well. So there are some other elements under consideration. And also I think that it would be probably quite similar where the enforcement is only during certain hours. So I know at the moment it's not enforceable between 6 and 8. I don't know if it'd be similar off the top of my head, but yeah, there is permits being considered.
Thank you.
Okay.
Cheers.
Any more takers? No, thank you. So moving on to the final item, 13 items for next agenda.
Yeah.
I think we need to keep rolling the items 7 to
Yeah.
10 basically, don't we?
Yeah. Yeah,
Keep them rolling
that's
over.
fine. Yeah,
Do that.
nothing else unless anything comes up.
Okay,
Yeah.
then we got anything else? No. Okay, on that note, then I'll call the meeting closed. Thank you very much.